This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Look at that, I've got a very lovely family of kudus, a group of kudus together. We call it a flock of kudus. These animals are one of the largest antelopes here in Djuma Game Reserve. In fact, they are some of the largest antelopes here in Southern Africa. This is the second largest antelope here in Southern Africa. A very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of our afternoon game drive. My name is Sydney and I am traveling with Fergus. We are going to try by all means to get you the best sightings here in Djuma Game Reserve, the western side of the Kruger National Park. My plan this afternoon is quite very much easy. This morning I was very lucky with some of the animals such as buffaloes, and I heard quite a lot of lion roaring. I will be going straight to the lions and see if we can find them. For your questions and comments, you can follow us on YouTube as well as you can follow us on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. The kudus are so very much pretty animals, and those animals can be able to jump from 2 to 4 meters high fence from a standing position. I can smell some buffalo droppings here in the area. The chances of seeing the buffaloes are also very much high from now. Look at that bird. So that is the African harrier hawk. It's the gymnogene. You can see the gymnogene flying there. So these kind of birds, they are doing some of the interesting behavior here. At one stage, I saw the gymnogene attacking the hornbills. What these gymnogenes or the African harrier hawks are doing is that they look for the hornbills which are nesting. Remember, the hornbills, when they are nesting, they normally hide a female in the nest. The gymnogene, when the male is delivering the food, if he spots that, he's going to land and crack the nest and eat the female from the nest. I have seen that happening on several occasions. So now we're going to carry on and see if we can find something interesting. Coast side, the hornbills, we have got a lot. That is the only sighting I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you that before the end of this drive, we are going to see the hornbills. So I'm just going to carry on now and drive much more towards the western side where the activities has been happening. Lion roars has been in this area this morning while I was on a guided walk. So I want to pick up the fresh tracks and track them down. So while I am trying to find evidence on these lions, let's go to James. He's also out on a game drive. Maybe James got some tracks already.
I've had more than tracks, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to the rusty end of the Sunset Safari. My name is James Henry. David is on camera. It's marvellous to have you with us, and I've just seen Hosanna on foot. He came out here. There he is. No, that is a francolin. He came out of this little gully here, right next to our camp. And I just need to see if we can't find him again. He was moving, and it's a very awkward area in here, in the vehicle. It was actually very amusing. I was walking along and I heard a francolin going quack, quack, and I thought, no, maybe he's around there. So I walked along here, and he came out of the gully. He didn't see me and he was looking around. So I went, just so that he would, not get a fright. I just clicked gently and he turned around and he went, as if to say, how on earth did you see me? Anyway, so he's somewhere in here. We'll keep going and see if we can't find him. Careful, everybody. Please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive, of course, and the YouTube chat stream. It'll be lovely to hear from you as we blunder through this rather thick area of bush. He was going back this way. No, Sharon, Hosanna managed to avoid the lions, I think, today. And in case you've just stumbled upon the stream, of course, I haven't explained who Hosanna is. Hosanna is a 2.5-year-old male leopard who we've known since the day he was born, and he's been lurking around camp for the last day or so. Somewhere over here. But it is very thick in here in the vehicle. I might get lucky. I must say, while it was wonderful to see him on foot, my heart did sink slightly in the knowledge that I didn't think that we were going to get a car in here. I suspect that he's going to keep moving throughout the afternoon, and the animals will let us know where he is through their alarm calls. And so, well, if we don't find him now, we might find him a bit later. Let's just ease up through onto this highway over here. Now, many of you wondering if Tingana survived his ordeal with the Nkuhumas. I can tell you today, first of all, let me just give you a quick recap. Tingana was treed, in other words, chased up a tree by the Nkuhuma pride. He is, of course, a very wily fellow, takes no risks, and he got up into the tree well in time, and then many of you were worried that he, might still be perched up there with lions licking their lips below him. No, that has not happened. The lions moved off slightly. Herbert went to have a look a little bit earlier this afternoon, and he actually did stumble into Tingana coming this way, possibly towards the waterhole here. So, no, Tingana's absolutely fine. Oh, come on, Hosanna, don't do this to me. I was so pleased to see you. Now, you hide from me, like we don't even know each other. Which we do, of course. We know each other so well. If you do see bits and pieces of infrastructure, it is because we are next to camp. Right next to camp. I don't see him. While you are with me, all I'm going to do is stick my head over the top here of this gully, because obviously we can't drive into it, and see if I can't spot him there. And if he is inside, then we won't be able to see him. So, just bear with me. I was tempted to start whistling for him, but I'm not going to do that. The Franklins have gone totally quiet. I wonder if he hasn't gone past here already. He's doing one of those sort of exploratory walks around the place. I don't see him anywhere here. That is not to say he does not see me, of course. It's safe to say that today was the only time I've seen him, and he hasn't seen me. Oh well. We'll have one more squiz around here. I don't want to bash around in here too much. It is very thick, and we don't want to damage anything and make a big noise. And there are other things around, of course, that we can go and look for. You'll have to take my word for it that I saw him. Sorry about that. Let's keep looking though. We are expecting the Mara to come online at some stage. And Sidders, of course, is up looking for the lions, hopefully not too far from here, and let's see if he's had any luck.
There is no luck yet here where I am, but there's quite a lot of tracks showing evidence that these animals are somewhere hiding. Animals such as the lions, those big cats, during the day when it's hot like this, they prefer to sleep. The temperature today is on their favor, so they are going to sleep a long time. So they have been spotted somewhere in this area this morning. Sometimes it's very difficult to see such a number of lions sleeping together. 11. Unkuhuma Pride is consisted of about 11 members, but it's easy to pass 11 members. Yeah, it is. Oh, here they are. We're lucky. They are sleeping very close to the road. Look at them. This is beautiful. Look at this. This is beautiful. All sleeping, lying down flat. You can see that these animals, they are matching the surrounding. It's very much difficult to see when you're driving. Conrad, indeed, this is beautiful. All lying down flat. Look at that. Very much difficult to think that these are living animals. They look like grass. Good afternoon, all stations. So this is Sydney. I have got the Unkuhuma Galago shortcut. So this pride has not been successful yet. A puma, indeed. I didn't copy that. Come again. Copy that, thank you. I am here now at this stage trying to handle the sighting, as there are some of the vehicles having interest to come and see the Unkuhuma Pride at the moment. You can see these animals are relying on a very small tree, but all of them 11 fitted together by the very small tree. Look at that one branching. Francis, let me just have a look very well here on their bellies. When looking at this pride, I am not seeing any sign convincing me that these animals caught something already. And looking at the mouth, no evidence showing any sign of blood. This Unkuhuma pride, it is still very much hungry. So it means today, after this, they must have to carry on hunting. It's quite a lot of them. They need something very big. So this kind of animals prefers something that is 550 kilograms. Young, the buffaloes, I have just picked up few evidence from the beginning showing that they are also in the very same area, but the buffaloes, they are much more towards the southern side of where we are. Maybe I can say at approximately 1 or 1.5 kilometers away from where the Unkuhumas are. This morning, we left the buffaloes right at Galago Pen, heading towards the western side of the game reserve. But where I've just seen the fresh tracks now, I am convinced enough that the buffaloes are also here in the same area. They probably know that the buffaloes are here. They are following them. So these lions are not going to do anything apart from sleeping unless something comes towards their direction. That is when they can be opportunistic and take it down. So their resting period mostly start running about 7, 8 when the sun is getting much stronger. Alan, at this stage, here where I am, I can pick up the wind coming from where they are because the wind is coming towards my direction. They are very much clean at the moment, no smell at all. But sometimes they can smell very bad because lions, they also eat carrions. And carrions, mostly you find that the meat is rotten and they just smell very bad. But at this stage, I can promise you they are smelling very nicely. You cannot even think that they are lions here. So one of them you can see opening. Rosina, that is true. The buffaloes moving can wake up these lions at any time here where they are because that is what they are here for. These lions are in this property today after a huge herd of buffaloes. So let's go back to James. I think James found something interesting there in next to Galago Pen area.
We found him again per foot. This time round he was going... Anyway, there he is. Hosanna, the male leopard, 2.5 years old, son of the Duke. And the old queen, the late queen. He's very, very much asleep. Tristan's just sent through a photograph of a very neat track in the sand outside the tent where he was clearly spending, or where he clearly did spend quite a lot of today. Now, I don't think he's going to do a whole lot this afternoon, and so I think we will probably not be here for very long. We'll enjoy him for a little while and then see what else we can find. But this is not the best view of the little chief we've ever had, and so we'll just have a little look. And if you have any questions about him, please send them through, or any comments, and we'll probably leave him in the next, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, I suppose. Oh my goodness, Tristan Dix has all the luck with the nest cam.
Well, James, we do. We have an unusual view of the largest of our animals out here in South Africa, the ellies, that have come down to quench their thirst on a very warm afternoon. And so you can see from our nest camera that is perched at water level that there are a few ellies that have come to drink. And so it's a herd that's just arrived. They came very quickly because I'm sure they're quite hot. It's been a steamy afternoon and we're starting to push towards summer once again, and so the temperatures are going to go up, and that means that the ellies need a lot of water in order to survive. You can see they're pushing and shoving each other, trying to get to the water itself, and you can see there's lots of kind of movement around there. And unfortunately, the biggest ones will get to drink first, and those with little babies. Now, they are moving a little bit to the left, so I'm going to just quickly swap cameras so we can see them better. There we go. There's the whole herd. Much better. Now we can see all of them, and they're all having a really good drink at this stage. So what they're doing is they're coming to basically, oh, look, we're going to get a trunk. Are you going to touch the camera? How cool is that? They're drinking right by the camera. That is so cool. Sometimes they're quite curious, so they might actually end up sniffing the camera, and we might get a little trunk all over the camera, which will make the lens dirty, but it'll be awesome nonetheless. This is absolutely spectacular. So like I was saying, the herd's going to come in because it's hot. There's very little water around, and so this is one of the freshest water sources that we get out here, and it means that these guys are going to come in and have a really good drink. Look, it's spraying water all over the top. This is amazing. Now, you would never get views like this if it wasn't for a camera that is placed right there, and the ellie is literally drinking over the top of this camera. That is absolutely spectacular. Amazing. No, don't do that, internet. There we go. That's better. Sometimes it just slows down a little bit, but it'll come back now. So, Josh, in temperatures like this, an ellie would really start to suffer within 24 hours. They'd be starting to really battle without getting water. It's very hot, and they, unfortunately, would be really battling. So 2 days, and you'd have the elephant would be very weak and probably very grumpy, and from there its condition would just go down straight away. It's very much like us as people. We obviously need water regularly, and it's the same with the ellies. Being big animals like this, they require huge amounts of water every day, and if they don't get that, well, they're going to decline very, very fast. But this is absolutely incredible. What a unique way to watch ellies drinking out of the middle of Africa. It is seriously quite special to see them going at it like this. Now, I'm hoping they're going to have a bit of a swim. It's hot enough for swimming. So let's see. This one looks like it's going to do. Let's see. So, Daniel, you say this is a great sighting. Well, Daniel, it doesn't get any better than this. This is absolutely spectacular. You can see they are really relishing the water. So when elephants are not thirsty and they just want to cool down, then they'll just run in and they roll around and cause havoc and wet themselves. But these elephants are thirsty. They're taking big trunkfuls of water and they're drinking fast. You can see they're putting their trunk in, sucking up, spraying it into their mouth, and you'll notice that they spill quite a bit of water, and there's a reason for that. They are purposely trying to not drink that water that is in the curve of the trunk. So as they suck up, you see the trunk curves, and then they drop water out. Now, the reason they do that is because when they're sucking up water, so they're going to get bits of sediment. They're going to get things like sand particles and dust. And so there's a trunk coming over the top of our camera. Look at that. This is amazing. How cool. Like I said, it's just such a unique view. And so basically, as they bend the trunk, the heavier particles and sediments drops down into the curve of the trunk. And then as they finish drinking, they don't squirt that into their mouth, because otherwise they're going to be drinking a lot of sand. And so they prefer to then just kind of drop it down and make sure that they don't make too much of don't drink too much of that stuff. What you'll also notice with them, watch the tip of the trunk on this particular ellie. Every now and then it will just put its trunk in and it will just do a little movement, almost like if you had to put your finger in water and just, if you're testing the temperature of a bath, that's probably the best way to put it. But he's doing that, or she's doing it, should I say, to break the surface tension. So there's surface tension that has got a lot of dust on it, and so they break the surface tension, get rid of all that dirty stuff on top, and then they can drink the nice clean water that's underneath. It's very cool to watch how intelligent elephants are and how amazing they are at providing themselves with clean water. Now, I'm pretty sure that one of them is going to swim. I'm hoping it's one of the young ones, and that starts, and then the adults might join in, and what they'll do is they end up starting to spray themselves on their ears and their body, and they sometimes will even lie down in this water. Now, they've done it a few times, and when they do, it's absolute pandemonium. So I'm hoping that they will do it again this afternoon, especially because the cameras are now working and set up in the perfect spot to catch it if they do this. But how amazing. It's such a special little view to have. There's very few places in the world where you can get to see ellies from such a low angle and get an impression of how big they actually are. So, Pisces, Bobby, you're asking how many gallons they suck up in one trunkful. Well, it's about 8 liters, so I'm not even sure what that is in gallons, to be honest. I'll have to try and think about it and try and work it out and see if I can figure it out. But it's about 8 liters that they get in a single kind of trunkful, and they will sit and they'll drink in one sitting, can drink as much as much as 100 liters in a single kind of drinking session, but it's very seldom that they do. So, sorry, Faith. 8 liters is 2 gallons. There we go. So 2 gallons is how much they can suck up with one single trunkful, which is of an adult elephant. That is, obviously, smaller elephants means smaller volumes that are going up. But this is very cool. Now, they're slowly edging. I can just see feet are slowly coming in. It's not a quick process yet, because I think they're very thirsty, so they want to make sure that they drink first. So, Brent, you say you just love the blue sky. It is the most perfect day today. It is hot, it is warm, the sky is clear. There's a few little wispy kind of clouds on the western horizon, which are going to be spectacular for sunset a little bit later. We should get a really beautiful sunset later. But otherwise, it's just perfect conditions for a safari. So those people that are out and about today are going to be getting spoilt, really. They're going to get this deep blue winter sky, but the warm temperatures of summer, and hopefully lots and lots of animals. It seems as though things are already busy. You know, we've had lions, we've had leopard, and now we've even got ellies that are busy drinking. So it's just one thing after another already. Now look, they're starting to push each other around a little bit, and you'll see once they've had a drink and everybody's satisfied, then they'll start to actually sometimes wallow. And the reason why they don't do it to start with is because everybody needs to get nice water, and if they wallow inside here and they start splashing and throwing water all over the place, the water gets very muddy and then they can't drink. And so I think they're just making sure everybody's well hydrated first before they start. I saw that one threw some water over its head. What you'll also find is that they're going to pick up water and they're going to throw it underneath their tummies. And that's one place that they throw it, or behind their ears. That cools their body down much faster than if they have to throw water over the top of their body. So it's just underneath the ears there, where it flaps, where the thin skin is, and then underneath the tummy area where there's also some nice soft thin skin. That just all helps. Look at that. That one's exhaling as it's drinking. Wow. This is very cool. Now, I believe that there are more elephants coming, so I just want to quickly change our camera angle for 2 seconds. Let's have a look. Oh, there they come. They're going to come via this next camera, which I'm going to show you quickly. There they are. You see them coming on the left-hand side, so they'll slowly be coming, and then there's others that are going to be coming from the right-hand side. We should get complete sort of envelopment of elephants all over. Now, this is a female that I actually recognize, the one that's coming in from the far left. She's got a tusk that kind of skews out a little bit to the right, so you see her quite regularly in this area. But look at this, they're all together. How cool. What a special sighting. Blue skies, ellies all over the place. This is very, very, very special. I know it's just ellies drinking, and it happens regularly every day. In fact, ellies drink around various pans and rivers. Look at this one. It's going in, little babies coming in. This is a big herd. There's going to be lots of pushing and shoving around this waterhole. Unfortunately, there really isn't going to be enough space for absolutely everybody, because they're all just coming in. Look at this, and look at how quickly they're moving in, because they're so thirsty. They just want to drink and try and get as much water as possible. Look at the tiny little one. There comes a little one. Now this one's right over the top of the camera. I'm going to just quickly change to another camera, because I think we might actually get them all on another one as well. Look at that, look. We've got its leg right up against the camera. This is amazing. Look at these shots. This is absolutely incredible. Now, you'll see that it does buffer a little bit every now and then, so I do apologize about that. It will sort itself out. But, you know, this is a camera in the middle of the African wilderness, and so sometimes there is a little bit of a slowdown. But, I mean, you're never going to get to see something like this in person. You would never be able to stand underneath elephants like this drinking. This is very, very special. So Conrad, our tech genius, is telling me the reason why it's actually buffering like that is because the elephants' bodies are so dense that it's blocking the Wi-Fi, and it's basically meaning that the camera can't talk to the signal base, and that's why we're getting this kind of buffering effect from time to time. Isn't that cool? That's pretty amazing. Now I'm going to change again to a different camera, because the sun is quite sharp into this one, and I think we'll get it better from here. There we go. So that's much better. Look at this. There's just ellies everywhere. This is sensational. You can't ask for anything better than this. Now, I'm not even there. I'm not at the pan, but I'm loving this, and I hope that all of you are as well. And I would love to hear from you, a one-word tweet of what you think about our ellies drinking from our Nest Cam, and whether or not you think the Nest Cam has been a great addition to our arsenal of basically cameras that are set up all over the place. And we're trying to pretty much bring pictures from every angle over the last few months and years, and so I think we're starting to get to some really cool stuff that's really not intrusive to these animals anyway. These animals are not in any way stressed out by the fact that there's a little camera sitting there, there's no people there, and so they can really have a good time and not have to worry. Now this big female is right up near the lens. Look at that. How amazing. This is very special. On a hot day like this, it makes you just want to get in there with them, because they look like they have the best fun. Tom, I'm not sure. I reckon a herd of 100, 150 could empty this pan. These guys are going to do a very good job of it. It's going to be interesting to see if it has dropped quite a bit in the time that they're here. But I reckon a herd of 100, 150 would empty this. We've got a herd here that's probably, I would say, between 20 and maybe 30 animals. Look at the little baby splashing itself. It's having the best time. This is absolutely special. Wow. Now I'm hoping that they're going to have a full-on bath here and that we're going to see them really playing and going crazy in the water. It is seriously cool what they're doing. There comes the big female. She's going to go right in front of the camera. You couldn't ask for anything better. Honestly, we are being given the best show. You can see a young bull in the back there that's shaking his head. Oh, she's spraying water everywhere. Wow. Now she's going to make a complete mess of this camera. There's going to be mud all over it. Conrad is going to probably be sitting there thinking to himself, not again, because poor Conrad has to go and clean these lenses every day to make sure that they are kind of working and that we can get these amazing views. So the Ellies do make a big mess though, but look at this. So Sabrina, if another herd came along, there would be lots of talking. So you'd find the Ellies would probably communicate with each other quite a bit. There'd be a lot of kind of pushing and shoving. But if in some way they'd probably talk to one another, and once the ones have moved off, the others will get a chance. Now look at that. It's just as quickly as they came, they're now starting to leave the scene again and move off. Wasn't that just the most special thing? I just want to check one camera just to see if we've got any sign of any others still here, because it looks like there might still be one or two around. I just want to double check. No, everybody's gone, I'm afraid. So everyone has left. There's now a bit of dust bathing going on. And you can see where they're leaving. Look at the dust being thrown on the back of that one. So she made herself wet, and now she's covering herself with dust. And she'll go and rub, and she'll get rid of any parasites that she has. Or she's going to just create a bit of a layer that's going to keep her a little cooler against this harsh African sun. But as they're filing off, you can see they're in single file as they go. Very cool. So James Richard, you say this is absolutely tremendous. Well, for me, it's as good as you're ever going to get for Ellies. I mean, we literally had elephants over the top of the cameras, all around them, playing, swimming. Absolutely wonderful. Right, now from an action-packed nest cam suite is what we're going to call it, and a waterhole that's been very busy. Let's send you back across to James, who's got, well, a cat that's not fazed by our elephants in the nest.
Well, we've got a lot of bush, as you can see in front of us. This is David being mysterious. He is now going to show you and reveal where the cat is. There you are. He's now looking at you, you see. He's very pleased to have you with us. He's just not prepared to move at this stage of the game. So he's very well hidden. You can see why I almost didn't see him earlier. Yes. Hosanna? We're going to have to leave you because you're not performing. Not saying you should have to perform, but you aren't performing right now. You're just lying on your back. I must say, I think I can count on one hand the number of nest broadcasts I've managed to achieve. Tristan goes into the tent and everything arrives there, so he's doing really well on the nest cam. And like I say, we were expecting to have the Mara with us today, but they seem to be struggling a bit. Love Dogs, I'm pretty sure he finished his duiker kill from yesterday with them pearly whites that he's got. His father's got much yellower teeth. I'm not sure if you've noticed that. He's obviously a coffee drinker, possibly even a cigar smoker. Anyway, that's not really the point. The point is that I do think he ate his duiker. He was most of the way through it by the time we left him yesterday at 7 o'clock. So I think it would have taken him another 20 minutes or so to finish it. And yes, you see he's agreeing with me. And then I suspect he got down the tree, found a thick bush and went to sleep again. Didn't you? Yes. Yes, you did. Look at you. Very fine fellow. Sleeping on the cool sedimentary rock there. Hosanna, do you know what sedimentary rock is? More to the point, do you care what sedimentary rock is? No, apparently not. He's a recalcitrant teenager, you see. He was a young adult. He might want to know what sedimentary rock was, but right now, all he's thinking about is young ladies, other young leopards, and where his next meal's going to come from. Yes. Dreamy look on his face, you can see there. He's in a very comfortable spot. The temperature is lovely this afternoon, and he's got a big full belly. Rosh, you say Hosanna is handsome? Yes, he is handsome. As I like to say, I have very seldom met anybody who has said, "My goodness, that is an ugly leopard." And that is, there are a number of reasons for that. Mostly that's because leopards are universally not ugly, on an entirely subjective plane. But also, it is because, of course, if you were to call this leopard ugly on the chat stream or on Twitter, well, it's quite possible that you wouldn't survive the abuse thrown your way. But yes, I do think he's quite handsome. He's also got very good ears, and he spotted something coming towards him. What could it be? A bird? A squirrel? A bushveld gerbil? A buffalo? It's definitely not a buffalo, unless it's an invisible one. What you got there, boy? Brent? That's not Brent Leo Smith, is it? Ah, the YouTube Brent Leo Smith. I'm not sure if it's the actual Brent Leo Smith, but apparently Brent Leo Smith says that Hosanna doesn't find me funny. I'll have you know that Hosanna finds me intensely amusing. You should have seen the jokes we were sharing with each other when we were on foot together. I said to him, "Boo, I see you," and he went, "Ha ha 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 ha, well done," and then he went to sleep. So he does find me funny, Brent. That didn't actually happen, everybody. I made that up. I can't see what he's looking at. All right, well, let's maybe sit here a little bit longer to see if he doesn't find something interesting while we go across to the Marcy Mara to Brent Leo Smith himself. I'm sure he's driving at a great speed, and I'm sure the volume of his voice is going to now startle you somewhat.
Well, hello and welcome to the Masai Mara in Kenya. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and back from leave is Manu. And we are adventuring today. We've adventured a lot today. We've covered a massive amount of ground. We've probably done 150 plus kilometers today. We tried to go find some cheetah down south on the Tanzanian border, but alas, it was not to be. Now, what is going on down there? That looks like excited North Clan hyena. Remember, we are 100% live, coming to you from not only the Mara but the Greater Kruger, and apologies for being late because our tech team was working on some bug or whatnot that infected us. And let's just have a look. There's some North Clan hyenas. And is he carrying a carcass? The one on the right there, Manny? Ah, yes. That is exactly what it is doing. It is dragging a carcass. Tom, I'm not sure I quite understand your question. Tom would like to know, do we consider any of the animals in the park sacred? Well, all of them, Tom, of course. But culturally, traditionally, I don't know. Manu? Yeah, Manu's not sure either. So I'm not sure, to be honest, Tom. I don't know if any of the local cultures consider any animal sacred. Sylvie? Are any of the animals sacred? Very special. Maybe you'll ask for me, Manu, in Swahili.
This is rhino.
Ah, rhino. Ravinda, I was hoping to find cheetah, but alas, I've given up on my cheetah mission. We saw thousands upon thousands of wildebeest, and a friend of mine is in the Lamai Wedge in Tanzania, and he sent me a photograph of Naratoy's young boy, and I could see the border in the background, but unfortunately, it seems like the cheetah are still in Tanzania. Now, normally, we would drive up to where those hyena are. However, with all the rain, that would be highly inadvisable at the moment. We would leave deep ruts in the ground there, and it would look very unsightly, and it's not good for the soil, so we're quite happy to watch them from a distance. Now, if you have any questions, like Ravinda has been sending through, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. I'm not sure what that was. Can you go again, Faith? Sacred goose crane. There's no such thing as a goose crane. MGN says there's a sacred goose crane. Well, it must be a fictional goose crane because there's no such thing as a goose crane. In the Mara. I know my birds pretty well, and there's no such thing unless it's a fictional creature. Then I'm sure it is very sacred, and I have no idea what it looks like. Maybe a goose crane. Manu, have you ever heard of a goose crane? Okay, so what I think we might do is leave our northies, because they're quite far from the road here, and head to where Jamie had the Olololo lions earlier on today. And that is pretty much exactly where Manu is pointing, somewhere in that direction up against the escarpment is where they were last way. Okay. Okay, so let's make sure I'm not going to cause a traffic accident while I practice my reversing skills. Let's send you back to Sydney and the Oklahoma Pride.
There is no developments at the moment taking place here. The Nkuhuma Pride is still resting and is not showing any sign of going anywhere this afternoon. So what I'm going to do is that after this lovely sighting, I am going to try and see if I can identify the area where the buffaloes are. And later on, I will come back when they are very much active, because otherwise they are going to be sleeping just like this all day long. But if I can find the buffaloes, then I will be able to come back and see what they are thinking about the buffaloes in the area. As the buffaloes, it seems like they are also not that very far from where we are at the moment. Look at that paw. Wesley, they are just 11 at the moment, and a fully grown elephant, there has to be a lot of lions to take that. I know some of the lions used to specialize on elephant, but a number must have to be 18 and above. 11 elephants will be a very difficult job. The elephants can be very much dangerous, and they don't die easily. They are die hard. So you can see that these animals, when they're sleeping still, the ears are moving. Tom, in Juma, we do consider some of the animals, secret animals. Animals such as the rhino, they are one of the animals who are dying very quickly in the country at the moment. So those are the animals that we are trying by all means to preserve, to avoid extinction. Look at that paw. when looking at that paw like that, you will never think that this paw does have some claws hiding inside. They only bring them out when they want to use them. Look, it seems like he is listening to me, doesn't want to show his paw again. You can see there is Rosita, the paw of the lions, some of the lions can be very much big, depending on the species. The lions that has got black mane, normally they've got a very big body size, and their paws, they are way much larger than my palm. And look at that. So right in there is some of the claws which are hiding, and those claws, they use them in order to catch the prey, but also to mark their territories by these trees. So these kind of animals, when they are catching some of the small animals such as birds, they just wipe it once with that paw. I can promise you a dove is not going to survive that. Francolin is not going to survive that. Guinea fowl is not going to survive that. You can see that the lions, they've got very powerful muzzles. So Ninamu, I didn't copy your question. There's too much wind here where I am at the moment. You can see the grasses by the lions as well, showing that the wind is coming. So Ninamu, the reason why the lions sleep all together like this has got something to do with their safety. Because if they are sleeping, wandering, sometimes that does jeopardize some of the family members. Remember, the predators, they do hunt each other. And sometimes lions, they do expect some of the rivals coming from their neighboring territories. Sometimes you will hear the lions roaring, roaring, and this kind of roar is not only about the territorial behavior. Sometimes they consider them when it comes to the safety of their babies, because when they are roaring, they can be able to identify each other, and they can be able also to identify their intruders. And if there are babies around, that is when the females must have to gather the babies for safety purposes. That young male went to that side. No, is that one there? Is the last one? Yeah, yes, the last one was facing the western. Yeah, that one. Angela, that is the young male. You can see the mane is starting to grow there. That you will see the mane nicely when it's older than going towards 2 years. You will see then growing. But this kind of mane, they also give them problems. When it's too hot, they experience quite a lot of warm temperature in there. Yes, it does have a positive impact because it does protect the neck when they're fighting the other males and other females as well, fighting for food. Lions can be very much vicious. Their fight can be very much strong. He's one of the lucky animals, as is the only male amongst all these 11 females. They are all 10 females. He's lying down flat. He must be very much spoiled because he doesn't have much responsibilities here in the pride. Hunting activities are facilitated by all these females. Yes, sometimes he can join, but it's not much of his responsibility. So now let's go back to James. James does have Hosanna at the moment somewhere in the gullies near Galagopen.
Well, yes, the gully's near Gallagher-Pan. He's crossed north over the gullies near Gallagher-Pan, and he's now heading towards our new rooms. The rooms of Egbert, Geraldine, Kirsten and Luis. And David, sorry, David. David as well, yes. Sorry, David. He has decided to have a little lie down in the shade as he observes the goings-on in those rooms. I'm not sure who's in there now. I think Kirsten and Geraldine might be there. Constance, it's one of the most interesting questions you can ask about leopards, that, and one of the most difficult to answer. That's why it's interesting. And it's also one of the major arguments used by leopard conservationists who do not believe that hunting of these cats should be allowed. Now, because they are so secretive, and because they live just about anywhere, including on the fringes of major cities, no one really knows how many there are left in Africa. We know the population of the Sabi Sands intimately. This is probably the best known populations of leopards on planet Earth, I suspect. And of course, remember, the leopard extends all the way down round into the far east of Russia. So between, say, the forests of where would they be least well known? I guess they'd probably be least well known in a place like the forests of the Congo, where there are no researchers. There's a great deal of civil war and a whole lot of other things that would preclude researchers going in there and doing long-term studies. While we know exactly what's going on over here in the Sabi Sands, we've got absolutely no idea what's going on in the Congo rainforest, nor do we have any idea what's going on in many parts of Central Africa and West Africa, where there are huge swathes of land that researchers aren't in. They do sort of guesswork and estimates as to how many leopards there are in those areas, but really no one knows. And so there's been a huge outcry of late because the South African government, in their wisdom, decided that they would grant, I think it was 7 or so leopard hunting licenses this year. And look, regardless of what you think of trophy hunting or don't think of trophy hunting, the point is, or the big argument against it, is that nobody really knows what the status of leopard populations are. We have no idea because they are so secretive. We know what they are in the Sabi Sands. Everywhere else we have no idea at all. Well, I would agree, Omkar, and again, slightly distastefully, I did drive once when I was a guide a big cat trainer, and he used to have a whole stable of big cats that he would use for movies. He'd train them, and then if they needed cats for movies, he'd take them in. And he said to me that he thought lions were possibly the stupidest things he'd ever come across in his life, but he thought leopards had the intelligence approaching that of dolphins. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I really couldn't tell you. But I would agree with you. They are certainly extremely adaptable. If that means that they have intelligence, well then yes, absolutely they have intelligence. They can live outside cities, and if you're wondering what I'm going on about, the best thing you can do is to go and watch the Planet Earth 2 series about, I think it's called Cities actually, and they get this unbelievable footage of a leopard outside Mumbai, which of course is one of the most populous cities on planet Earth, moving through the outskirts of the city and eventually catching himself a domestic pig. It's utterly astonishing. And then it just disappears off into the night with this pig. And I've got a friend who we may well have mentioned. He's working at Angama Mara at the moment, up in the Mara, Adam. Adam did a lot of work on leopards up in India. I forget in exactly which region. The place it was called Jawai. And a lot of his research on the leopards there was around tourism, but many of the leopards he found would go through the villages at night very comfortably, and he tells a very amusing story of of following a leopard with a spotlight one night, and he was watching it coming off a mountaintop, or sort of low mountain, and there's a village nestled in the lee of the mountain. And the cat came down off the rocks and then just started jumping onto the roofs of the houses and going. He was following it with a spotlight, and it got down and eventually disappeared through the village. 3 or 4 minutes later, he was set upon by an extremely enraged and luckily quite small Indian gentleman with whom he had no common language. And it turns out, through the efforts of a translator and a number of people who held him off Adam, that Adam had inadvertently shined his spotlight straight into the bedchamber of this man and his wife, who were well, shall we say, in flagrante delicto at the time. Poor old Adam had absolutely no idea whatsoever, and the poor chap got himself a nasty fright with all the best intentions in the world. Hope he doesn't mind me telling that story. Anyway, so, yeah, he's got some amazing stories about leopards in semi-built-up areas. And in fact, he goes on further to talk about the fact that leopards there at Juwai, where he was, don't occur in parks like this. There aren't any parks like this. There are small nature reserves, but the leopards live everywhere. They live all over the place, in amongst the people. Much like Hosanna is doing here. All right, I think we're going to leave him now. I have no desire to see him sitting in the shade there for much longer. I can't see his handsome face, and I also don't really wish to watch him walk into the camp. Let's go back to the Flataninka Pumas. We'll do a turnaround here. I suspect this fellow will either turn up on quarantine clearings or at the pan sometime soon.
Look at that. These lions are not showing any activities at the moment, and now this kind of sleeping behavior triggered my mind in order to leave here so that I can find some buffaloes for you and then come back here during the dusk, because that is when they are going to become very active. They dislike too much sun, which is a good thing. You can see that they are all still sleeping flat. There's only one female up sitting that side. The rest are still enjoying their sleep. That is the only one now seated. So let's go to Tristan. He does have some nyala drinking at the water hole. I will be leaving the lions.
Well, we've had elephants that came down to drink, and now we have got a beautiful nyala bull against this blue background. Even the water's getting a blue tinge to it. It really is a seriously pretty afternoon, and if Hosanna makes his way down to this pan, I will be thoroughly impressed and thoroughly happy, to be honest, because it'll be, I think, the third time or second time at least that I've had him on the nest cams, and it's always wonderful to see him drinking away. But you can see this nyala is being pestered by a mass of red-billed oxpeckers that are basically feeding off him, and have been given a taxi ride to the water, and so they're now able to actually get water as well as food around here. And this poor nyala is not having any of it. There's a couple other nyala that are on their way. There's also the impala in the background, and so we should actually see more than just this one drinking. But how wonderful is it to have animals coming in completely unperturbed by any human presence whatsoever, doing what they would do naturally and getting a secret little look into their world. I think it's fantastic. I think it's something, you know, often a part of us sometimes feels a little guilty about, you know, driving around these animals and in some way changing their behavior. But this kind of thing, we can just watch them amble about and not have to worry too much that we're doing anything to them. In fact, I mean, there's no movement of this camera, which means that they're not being disturbed by that. And you can see they've accepted it quite quickly. Now I'm going to just quickly change the angle that we're on, so hopefully we'll get them. There we go. There's the setting sun that's starting to come down, so light's a little harsher on this side, but there's the one nyala. The other one should come around slowly now. It should be on its way. And what's interesting with these nyala is that every single time a male nyala comes here to this pan and drinks, they walk to that exact same bush and they rub their horns on it and they do their thing there, and it's amazing. It's every single male nyala does it. I don't know what is going on there. obviously some sort of secretions that they're leaving there that is a marking, but it's not the same nyala. It's different ones that do it. So I wonder if the other one that was kind of milling about just now might come past and do the same thing. The impala is going to have a bit of a drink. Look at the reflection on the water. Isn't that nice? It's very, very nice. I think so. I think it's wonderful. Now, Hosanna, that's where you need to come and drink just now when the sun is almost down. It will be beautiful. Deborah, the colours are amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful winter's day, like I say, and the colours really are quite spectacular. We have been spoilt this afternoon on Nest. We've had, these beautiful blue hues, and we should theoretically get quite a nice sunset from here. That's one nice thing about this particular angle, this camera, is that you do get these incredible sunsets that come down at the back, and if the animals are drinking, it's almost this kind of backlit beauty that you get coming down. I really, really like it. I think it's very, very pretty. Now, the impala is coming to drink again. That nyala is drinking just off screen. You can just see his reflection every now and then in the bottom left corner of his head going up and down from where he's been drinking. Yes, Ladybird, I agree. I mean, it's a very much a nice, non-intrusive way to watch animals just going about their business. Obviously, there's a reason that they're there. There's water there that's been pumped up, and that's why they're coming to it. But this pan was there long before we ever put these cameras, so it's not like the cameras were there because the pan was put there. But we're not really interfering with these animals in any way. I mean, they're able to do whatever they want to do, and like I said, there's no movement of the camera itself, so there's no buzzing, there's no kind of any sort of thing that can disturb them or take their attention away from being what they are and doing what they do. So for me, I enjoy it. I think it's very, very cool, and it's such a unique viewpoint of these animals. We get to see them from a vehicle which is a much higher point of view than what we're seeing from these Nest cams. Here we're getting much lower down, right to where we can actually see them, and I think it's quite cool. I think there's a place for these kind of things, and definitely the fact that we're able to actually talk to you while we're watching it is hugely valuable, I hope, for all of you, and I hope that you enjoy the fact that we are able to kind of narrate over it and tell you about the things that are coming down to drink and what's going on. It's, for me, a very cool thing, and we spend a lot of time sitting here and waiting for things to come down to drink, and we have a shift rotation where James comes in or I come in and Sydney comes in, and we kind of rotate through, and so we're here pretty much from 5:30 in the morning until the drive wraps in the evening at 6:30, and we try and kind of monitor what's going on as much as possible. And it's rewarding sometimes. When it's a funny thing, because you'd think that going out on a game drive would be far more rewarding, but actually when things come down to drink, it's quite exciting when they do. And I mean, obviously you probably heard that I got quite excited with the elephants. It was very, very cool. Anyway, as we watch our Nyala bull drift off, is he going to go to the same bush though? Hold on, Faith. I want to see if he goes to the same bush and rubs his head on it. He looks like he's angling towards it, doesn't he? He's kind of going behind the impala. Now, it should be somewhere in that general vicinity. No, this one's going to glide past it and go, no, it's not going to do it. Okay, so that's one Nyala that hasn't done it, which is a good thing. But so while we wait for other animals to come down and see what they get up to, let's send you back across to James, who I think is caught up with the same elephant herd we had just now.
I think it probably is the same elephant herd. They had another drink at the Galago pan, and they are now tossing dust artistically into the sun, which is very pretty, isn't it, David? Yes, David is being very artistic, you will see shortly, hopefully. Yes, a lot of pressure. I must put pressure on these young people, everyone, I find. There you are, David, you see? See what the pressure did? Beautiful pictures now. Dust motes and insects flying about. The wind blowing up to help you from the northwest. And this elephant cow has just moved a fallen branch off some last little bits of grass with perhaps, I don't know, just a drop of moisture in them. I don't think it's moisture so much as I guess it's just roughage. And apparently you're getting good ambient sound, which is nice. Yes, you can see the hairs. She hasn't shaved for a while. She hasn't been for a facial wax. That dust is quite something. It's really pretty. So pretty, in fact. Michelle, you love Ellie's, good. I don't know why David finds that funny. David thinks that's very funny. I love Ellie's too, Michelle. I think they're fantastic. Don't pretend you're not laughing by coughing now, David. You know what, Michelle, I really struggle to take decent photographs of them for some reason. They are difficult to take original photographs of. I failed there, mainly because, of course, I never take photographs when we live, do I, David? No, I don't, that's correct. Let's see if we can get another view. David, I can see that you and I are going to come to blows before the afternoon is out. All right, I'm not sure that we're going to get into this area. It's very thick and there's a nasty gully through there. So I think let's go back to Brent Leo Smith, who is apparently doing a little bit of avian watching there in the Masai Mara.
Well, with the massive amount of rain we've had in this last week, a lot of areas have become inundated with water and there's been an explosion in the frog population. And this has led to a lot of big water birds. Sorry? Oh, there's a water monitor. I didn't even see. Oh, are the marabous trying to get it? Oh, wow. Must be quite a small monitor. We got quite a few different species of birds here. Let's just see what these marabous get up to. Marabous look like they're trying to corner that poor water monitor. I thought you were telling me to watch my monitor, Manu. But in the middle of the... Oh, look at that one. That one's got something in its beak. It's just there, that one. What's he got? There we go. That's what they're after. Froggies. Poor frogs. Oh. Oh, oh. My frog. Oh, he's a little wattled lapwing. Oh, they're trying to sneak it away. Now you can get some quite impressive fights between marabous. Their beaks are incredibly sharp. He's going off to the monitor lizard again. Karen says the marabous look like old men indeed. Often called undertakers as well. They look like undertakers of the bush. We've got a yellow-billed stork next to us here on the left as well. And some cattle egrets. But there, that yellow-billed stork. Beautiful. Stunning. Sacred ibis, cattle egrets. Black-headed heron about to fly through shot, I think, or not. There he goes, black-headed heron flying through. Let's just move a little bit further to where there's a bit more action going on. It seems to be, maybe there's a few more frogs in that spot at the moment. Let's see if we can see that. Oh, there we go. We can see that monitor. I think that's a bit big for you guys to really tackle there, Mr. Marabous. That is a fair-sized monitor lizard. Lindsay, I'm not sure what species of frogs are saying. That one actually looked like a toad, the one that was brought up onto the bank by that marabou. This monitor lizard will be here taking advantage of the same prey. I think the marabou is just out of instinct harassing him, but he will give them a good whack with that thick tail of his. Oh, I just need to move off the road. Oh, look at him arch his tail. Well, arched his back as soon as that marabou moved. He's just trying to get... I need to move to get off the road so the other car can pass. There we go. Oops. But look at this. Look how many of them are taking advantage here. So, beautiful scene. All the birds. There's a woolly-necked stork amongst them as well there. Oh, a couple of woolly-necked storks about. Oh, that one's got one again. See that one next to the woolly-necked stork, Manu? Oh no, there we go. He's got it. There we go. That one. Yep. He's trying to. And there's the woolly-necked stork behind. He's trying to kill it enough that it doesn't escape, which I think it has. Haha, unlucky for you. Oh, there's a bit of a war going on. MGN is asking, do the marabou storks and vultures ever fight? Yes, indeed they do. They can actually fight quite viciously amongst each other at the carcasses. Now, unlike the vultures, the marabous are able to take advantage of other prey, like they're doing right this very second with fishing for frogs. They'll also fish for fish if they're fish about to have. Beautiful. Listen carefully. If you listen carefully, you can hear them actually pacing through the water, so I'm going to keep quiet. Can you hear some reed frogs as well? I don't think that's what they're eating. No, sorry, I can hear some bubbling cassiers. Beautiful scene out here. Oh, there's another bird species at the back. Manu, if you go up and to the right of that lot there we go. White storks. On the right there's a white stork as well. 2 white storks. 3 white storks. Oh, to the bottom white stork, just go a little bit to the right from that white stork, from the far right one. Down, there we go. In the reeds there, what have we got? That looks interesting. What have we got? It's a bit far to tell. We're on full zoom, man. Looks like a little sandpiper, but the light's a bit difficult for me to tell you which one. James Richards asking, do marabou storks nest in colonies like other species of storks? Indeed they do, in rookeries. Like herons, you'll often have herons, yellow-billed storks, sacred ibis, white storks, not white storks, yellow-billed storks, all sharing the same home. Well, same, and it's normally in a lot of parts of Africa, especially in southern Africa, they almost exclusively have those rookeries in zyzigium trees, which are waterberry trees. So they're inundated trees, so they'll nest above water, where their chicks have a much lesser chance of being taken by predators. Okay, well, we're still trying to get towards the lions, and we're going to leave our storks to continue their frogging snacks and keep heading on to see if we can catch up with the Olololo pride. Bambo! Hi! So guys, we are just going to have a quick chat here. So we are live at the moment. But, okay, well, while we have a chat here, we're going to send you back to South Africa, to Sydney, who's on a mission.
I am now right next to Sydney's Dam, and it is here where I have got fresh tracks of the buffaloes. These buffaloes, it seems like they are somewhere hiding in this area. I've been tracking them down all the way from where we have seen the lions earlier until here. These buffaloes and lions were very close to each other this afternoon. I just want to try and have a better angle to see if they are not at Sydney's Dam at the moment. See, you know, the animals that has got poor eyesight is animals such as snakes. Those kind of reptile snakes don't really have a good eyesight. So I think we can see way better than snakes. Yeah, these buffaloes went down here. So they went down towards Sydney's Dam. Big animals such as the blue wildebeest and the rhinos, they also got a poor eyesight, but snakes, they are worse. So it seems like these buffaloes are walking as we speak, because here I can see the tracks are very much fresh and they're showing that they are cross-cutting towards that side. You can see the fresh tracks going down that way. You can see their fresh tracks heading towards that side. So they disappeared towards the private concession much more that side. I didn't copy that question from Dave very well. If you can just repeat it for me. My favorite animal is the dung beetle. Dung beetle is my favorite animal here amongst all these wild animals. The reason why I love dung beetles is because of the significant role the dung beetles are playing in this whole ecology. These whole big trees, together with all the big animals, they are all enjoying the efforts done by the dung beetle. When the dung beetles are rolling the balls, hiding the balls under the ground, they are fertilizing these areas for the trees to grow and for the animals to eat. I think the chances of seeing these buffaloes are very much low, because I can see that the tracks all went down towards the private concession, unless they come out and come back again. Maybe the Unkuhuma Pride is going to start following them soon as the sun starts cooling. So now let's go to James. James is got one of the big mamas. I'm not too sure what animal James is having at the moment.
Right, we have a small problem, everybody. The small problem is that what we wanted to show you is now trying to escape from being on screen. It is astonishing how often that happens. It is another elephant herd that if I just shift you a little bit forward, we might be able to see, David. Oh no, there's one behind us, doing the stealth elephant. 00 elephant. Hello, how are you? Now the elephants are a bit jumpy today, and I think that they're a bit jumpy because of the game census that's been going on here. So they've been flying a chopper up and down over the northern Sabi sands today, and what that means is that if they see a herd of elephants, they don't just fly over it, they'll then circle it to get an accurate count before carrying on the transect that they happen to be flying, and that will definitely unsettle these elephants. You can see that she, old female, is secreting from her temporal glands, so she is experiencing some kind of stress. It's definitely not from the heat. There are no big bulls around, and I can only think that this herd and the other herd, which kept getting into a kind of defensive group, was somehow harassed by the game census. It's not a bad thing, it's just a temporary thing, and the game census has to be done, so it's really Not a criticism of the game census at all. It's inevitable, but I think that's why they're a little bit jumpy. Lovely long tusks, this cow. It is, Deborah, and it's a really great endorsement for the colour grey out here. So Deborah's just saying that it's amazing that they can hide behind bushes at such incredible sizes, and it's an endorsement of the colour grey. Grey is very difficult to see out here, especially in this time of the year, and we fairly regularly do a little sort of, I suppose, review of bush fashion, if you like, and make fun of the various people who arrive in these places in pristine khaki clothing, which is actually very easy to see out here in comparison with a colour like this grey colour. Small herd of 3 or 4. I'm not going to follow them, although I'm just going to reverse slightly. I'm not going to follow them because the bush is very thick, and I think they're probably going to go and have a drink, and they probably don't want to be harassed. But we might just be able to get a nice shot there. Sorry everybody, there are a few sticks and things in the way. Oh, that's beautiful. Yep. She's just picking the last bits of marula leaf off this fallen tree. It's not a marula tree though. What is it? Oh, and this little one's getting very cross with us. Saying, leave us alone. We shan't follow you any further, I promise. Oh, it's a scotia tree. Yeah, right into his teeth there. It's a boerbean tree that has been pushed over, but it's still producing leaves, which means that it has some connection to the earth. It is deriving some sort of water from the earth. I don't think it'll survive for very long, but you could see straight into the mouth there, and you could see the top and bottom molars, one on each side and one on the top and one on the bottom on each side, 4 molars. And an elephant of that size is probably almost 10 years old, I'd say. And so those are probably the first big teeth, the first non-milk teeth. Browntown Gamer, very nice to have you with us. I believe you're a new viewer. Welcome to Safari Live. Shush, little fellow, don't worry. I'll answer that question for you now. Interesting, this one is not the oldest one. The oldest one is that old cow. She's not worried about us at all. And this one, who's probably a youngster, he's trying to show how big and strong he is. I think it's a young bull. So Browntown Gamer, we generally do not help animals out here when they're in distress. Unfortunately, we do try and let nature take its course. And apart from not wanting to interfere too much, one of the major reasons for that is that just about every time you do try and interfere, it almost always results in some form of tragedy. Nature has a way, of course, of balancing itself out here, although that balance is not something that's an equilibrium, so nothing stays constant out here. But unless it's an endangered species like a wild dog or a cheetah, and unless it's been affected by human beings, so if it's been caught in a snare or something like that, then absolutely we get people in and they'll deal with the problem. If an animal gets sick or something like that, no, we won't bring in the vet to try and sort the problem out. And in fact, we had a rather distressing time a little while back with our pride of lions, our favourite pride, the same pride that Sydney's been with, the Nkuhumas. They lost a number of cubs to a disease called white muscle disease, which it's certainly not well known in carnivores. It's treatable in domestic stock, and we didn't do anything about it, and there was a lot of debate on the interweb about why it is that we didn't help, and a lot of people said we should have, and others said no, you have to let things take their course. I don't know that there's necessarily a right or a wrong way to go. The policy over here is that we do not interfere. The Mara, often very different. The Mara often has a different way of doing things. I think old Scarface, the male lion, possibly one of the most famous male lions in the world, been patched up and stuck back together 5 or 6 times. Once he certainly had a spear thrown at him. I don't think anyone was trying to hunt him. I think he was probably interested in some cattle that were being grazed in his territory, so they saved him from that. I mean, we'd do the same thing here, but I think he's had fights, and I think they do sometimes then, if the animal looks like it's going to die, they'll get the vet in and help. You know, what's right and what's wrong, who knows? Merits to both. Oh, here's another elephant. And of course, Jamie the other day had a snare. Well, she didn't have a snare. She wasn't caught in a snare, so we didn't bring the vet in for her. We do sometimes bring the vet in for her, but we didn't have to this time round. We brought in, or we didn't bring in, the Mara brought in a vet to look after a snare that was on a baby elephant. And they had to do that, and that was very difficult because, of course, there are no fences there, and the elephants ran into a forest, which made it very difficult. Lots of elephants around. It's so nice when they're back. It's such fun being able to go around the corner and knowing that somewhere along the way you'll find a little herd of elephants. It's another old cow, that. I say old because she's got a really kind of pronounced angle to her head, and of course her shoulder blades are sticking out, and now that poor tree is going to cop it as a result of being a sort of nice itching post. She's not very old, but she's quite old. Well, whatever the question is, I always enjoy hearing from this viewer. Poofy poof, hello. Many different ways you can say poofy poof, of course. Poofy poof. Elephants are what we call a keystone species, and that means that they play an enormously crucial role in the ecosystem, and their absence or presence will totally change the way an ecosystem looks and the way it behaves. For example, if you were to remove elephants from this ecosystem, you would find that the vegetation structure would change completely. You'd have a lot more trees, I suspect. You'd have a much greater thickening of the bush, and obviously you wouldn't have all of these fallen down trees which form little habitats for much smaller creatures which might not be described as keystone species. By the same token, if you were to bring in, say, double the number of elephants, well, you'd probably have far fewer trees, and that would totally change the ecosystem for all the other herbivores. So you might, in fact, have fewer kudu and nyala, which of course need the thick bush to browse in, and you might have the influx of, say, eland perhaps, or sable, or more grassland favouring species. The thing is that we don't really know what this place looked like before human beings came here, or before human beings started taking records of being here. So it's entirely possible that at one stage or other there were more elephants, and that this was a grassland much the same as the Masai Mara. It's entirely possible that there were fewer elephants and it was thicker. It was a thicker woodland than it is now. But you can be sure that elephants played a huge role, and certainly in the Masai Mara, elephants have been, along with human beings, have been hugely responsible for those grasslands through the removal of woody vegetation. That is very pretty. Right, let us go back across to Brent Leo Smith with the keystone predator of the Marsi Mara, one of them anyway. Certainly I think his favourite one out there, although by now I'm pretty sure he's tired of tawny and hoping for spots.
Well, welcome back. Remember, we are 100% live. We have made our way towards the Olololo Pride, and they are reclining in the late afternoon light. The sun's about to disappear off to the west. And remember, if you have any questions, #SafariLive on Twitter is the best way to get them to me. So the lions are quite far spread around us, and they're looking quite well fed. So we might sit here for a little bit. We are getting towards the right time of the day when they might start stretching and heading out for an evening hunt. So, as most of you know, patience is key in the wildlife game, and that's why we spend many hours sitting next to sleeping kitties. Although I'm not sure these guys are going to do anything till quite late tonight, looking at how lazy they are at this very moment. Can you even see the one next to us? No, you can barely see it. You can just see her breathing. Hello, Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie would like to know what will initiate the mother of a sub-adult lion to go into estrus. Well, Lisa Marie, that will generally only happen once that lion cub has gone over about 2 years old, in some cases even 3 years old. So they're no longer really sub-adults, they're young adults and are no longer dependent at all on their mother and are able to hunt by themselves. And only once those lions have got to that age will the female then come into estrus and start mating. Now, of course, lions' estrus cycles are very, very interesting, and they can produce false estrages, especially in a time when new males are taking over a pride. The females will often produce a false estrus when mating with new males. What this does is give them a chance to wait a couple of months to see if those males are going to be successful in taking over a territory, or they're going to be pushed out again shortly. So their estrus cycles can be very, very interesting in the big cats. It is wonderfully still here at the moment, and the Olololo escarpment is off to our right, and you can see the sun starting to dip towards the clouds. Big storms around again. We've had massive storms every night this week so far. On cue, the thunder rolls, and that's a storm behind us that I didn't even know was there. So I'm pretty sure Manu and I are going to get wet again. Cheryl, indeed. Cheryl says the Masai Mara is always breathtaking. It is indeed a breathtaking, Cheryl. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, there's storms to the south of us, storms to the north of us, storms to the east of us. The only patch that doesn't have a storm yet is the west. So, where we were looking for cheetah this afternoon, only about an hour or two ago, if we were sitting there, we would be thoroughly drenched by now. Absolutely stunning. The Olololos, however, are being a little lazy. They don't look too keen to get up to much at all. Oh, wait, there we go. Let's attack. No, let's roll over. It definitely looked like they have fed in the last couple of days. Now, they have moved a little bit further from, or the migration's moved a bit further away from them. Now, Amy is asking, where have the Olololos been? We didn't see them during the Gauntlet series. Now, Amy, we didn't see them for good measure. We are very far out of Olololo territory at the moment. We are actually in what would be traditionally described as sausage tree pride territory. Okay. So, let's do it this way, I think. That's going to be the best way. So there we go, got a little map for you here. The Olololo Pride, traditionally, there's the Olololo Gate, you can see there. Sorry, my head's in the way there, Money. and they very seldom went south of this little drainage line here. So this, so this area here was traditional Olololo territory. Now also most of this area here can be very wet, and also it's a non-off-roading zone. So during the gauntlet we didn't spend much time in this area. Now the Olololos are all the way down here. What have I done? There we go. We're actually sitting right here at the moment. So they're all right down here around Laga and Ndlovu, which is a good 8 or 9 kilometers away from their traditional territory. And them pushing down because of the lack of food in that area has caused the sausages, we have a head up, has caused the sausage tree pride to move further to the south, and the Awinos to move further to the southwest up against the escarpment. And so this big pride pushing down here is probably going to cause some pandemonium amongst the other lion prides. Now this is the area, as I said, we used to look for the sausage tree pride, and now I don't think we'd even dream of looking for them in this area. Sausage tree pride haven't been up this side of the world for many moons now. Well, we're going to sit here a little bit longer with the Olololo Pride. While we do that, let's send you to Sydney, who's with the Nkuhuma Pride in South Africa, and hopefully they're a little bit more active than ours.
I have got the elephants now slowly approaching the Nkuhuma Pride, and the Nkuhuma Pride is becoming very much fascinated and inquisitive. They are all now very much active. The elephants are slowly approaching, moving. The distance between the elephants and the Nkuhuma Pride at this stage, I can say the nearest is less than 150 meters. So the lion's eyes, all the eyes are on this elephant. Look at that. You can see that now they are all starting to groom and starting to yarn. Catherine, the lions are just lovely animals. I'm sure they are making quite a lot of people happy this afternoon. Look at that. Now they're starting to groom, and I can feel the temperature is now dropping. They are going to be very active anytime soon. But I think now you can see that one is very concerned about the presence of the elephants at the moment. And is the one who is very much excited. For us to see the elephant is the one who's shown us. And this is beautiful, and those elephants, they've got some babies there. I don't know what is going to happen, but I can promise you how these lions look hungry. I can see that they might try something. You can see some of them are also trying to move where they were, a little bit far away from the road. I don't know if that is to give the elephant chance to pass, or it's a way of finding a cover, because now where they are going they cannot be clearly seen because of the tall grass. Autumn, the largest pride of the lion, I saw it in Kruger National Park by 2012, where I saw about 29 females all together lying on the road. They were just everywhere. Look at that. You see, the lions, they prefer to yawn too much. Yawning, they are not just doing it for fun. These animals, they got to yawn in order to regulate the brain temperature. It helps them in order to give more oxygen to the brain. So, but to the lions, yawning seems not contagious, because to us, seeing someone yawning, you're going to have to yawn as well. But by the lions, it seems like they don't do it like we do. CJ, the lions can stretch. Look, now we've got the lions are now starting to come much closer. Look at that figures right on the road. I've got a big one and a small one starting to show up. You can see these lions are also standing, looking directly at the elephants. So you can see that the lions, they are serving as my monitor. They tell me what is happening. Every time I look at them, I see. You can see now that the largest land mammal is coming, and the Unkuhuma pride is now all standing, trying to avoid these big animals coming. They are looking at them. I am not alone here. I've got some other stations who are joining me on this sighting at the moment. So I'm not too sure if these elephants know about the presence of the Unkuhuma at the moment, but I can see that the Unkuhuma is trying to avoid the elephants. We got 2 of the big 5 at the same place, and this elephant has got babies. Maybe that's why these Unkuhumas are trying to move away, because elephants can be very much protective when having the babies. Rima, the elephants, they can be very much dangerous when having babies. The lions mostly, they back off. Yes, some of the confrontations I've witnessed, but lions, they always lose a battle. They give up very quickly. There's not a lot of elephants. So I'm just gonna move forward so that we can see both the lions and the elephants at the same time. Now it seems like the lions are also looking at something else as well, towards the northern side of the game reserve. So those elephants are very much stationary feeding, and the lions are looking at those elephants. So I just want to try and see what is going to happen here. We've got hungry lions and feeding elephants. I think from here we can see them both. So from here we can all see both the lions and the elephants at the same time. So you can see that the elephant seems not knowing about the presence of these lions. So the lions that are... So now while I'm trying to have a better sighting here, let's go to James for some updates.
Yes, our update is that we have no update for you. We left the elephants and they have gone off into some thick bush, and so now we've come around to see if we can't find Thandi and Tlalamba, our gorgeous queen Thandi and her daughter Tlalamba. If there was a leopard about whom perhaps we could cast a spur looks front, well, then it'd probably be Thandi. But I still think she's beautiful, don't worry. Got myself into dreadful trouble there. Anyway, Thandi, for those of you who are new viewers, is a 12-year-old leopardess, and she is raised to perfection a gorgeous little female cub called Tlalamba, who is now, she's 11 months in September. It's quite exciting. Can't believe it was almost a year ago that Tristan discovered that she had given birth. It's really very exciting indeed. Now we are also having a school drive starting in about 2 minutes. A school from the United States, as far as I'm aware. Ages 8 to 12, no, 8 to 11. And so we will be dedicating the questions in that 45-minute period to them. And we're going to begin the school drive with the Nkuhuma Pride and the infamous Sydney Mikosi.
Look at that. Kids, I have got 2 of the big 5 at the same place at the moment. You can see I have got the lion who is very hiding, looking more the same as the grass, and going right in front of where that lion is looking at, I have got the elephants feeding there. This is an amazing sighting. Imagine 2 of the big 5 at the same place. The lions are just very relaxed while the elephants are feeding. A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the school drive. My name is Sydney and I am traveling with Fergus, who is my camera operator. For your questions and comments, you can ask your teachers to ask us questions and comments. I have got about 11 lions here. Son, the lions are very much well equipped. They've got very dangerous teeth. Their canines is the ones that normally open the skin. And if you look at the paw, they've got some claws that helps them to grab and pull. So these animals can be able to tear apart a small prey in a very short space, very short time. So look at that. You can see that lion is looking at something. Lucas, I am stationed by the Juma Game Reserve, which is the western side of the Kruger National Park. For me to find these animals, I have to rely on a lot of things. I must have to track. I must look at the tracks on the ground where the animal has gone past. At the same time, I must have to be using the eyesight, checking everywhere, and also my nose. I must have to be able to sniff, because some of the animals, such as these kind of cats, lions, they eat old rotten meat. So if the old rotten meat is smelling bad, if I go there, I know I'm going to find something. So that is how I find these animals. If I pick up any kind of smell, I investigate it. Kaiden, I have seen a predator eating a predator before. I was once on a sighting of a leopard eating another dead leopard. Cannibalism is normal to these animals. Cannibalism, it is just a process whereby the predators feed on other predators. So these animals can be able to play their ears. They can serve the ears and rotate them on different times. They don't do this all together. Look at that. It's going to yawn now. Look at the teeth. Those are the teeth which can tear the prey apart. Have you seen that? Interesting. Kathy, my favorite meat eater is the lions. These animals, how they walk is phenomenal. They walk as if they're bored, as if they're not serious. Even when hunting, they walk as if they're not serious. You will never think that these animals can be very dangerous. So the elephants are also enjoying some meal right behind the lions. Look at that, elephants, 2 of them just feeding there. These animals are not very far away from each other. They're at a distance of less than 100 meters apart. now, while I'm trying to move around here for a better view, let's go to James. James, one of my colleagues, is having one of the antelopes.
Hello everybody, welcome to this end of your special school safari. Those two antelope are called Nyala. It's a mother and her little baby. My name is James. I hope that you're having a good day at school. I don't normally twist around like this, but I'm trying to drive the car while turning backwards. It's a lovely afternoon here in South Africa. And these Nyala are just enjoying the mild temperatures before the heat of the summer, and they're looking for nice bits of greenery to eat. And not a lot of greenery around at this time of the year, of course. Please ask us as many questions as you'd like to, like Roxanne just has. Roxanne, it sounds like a really good question. I'm going to ask for it again. Oh, how do the grassland animals choose their mates? Well, Roxanne, it's a complicated process for a number of animals. Let's take these ones here. They're not really grassland animals. Of course, they live in woodlands, but the principle stays the same. Basically, unlike with human beings, where looks are an enormously important part of how we select our mates, what seems to be the case here is basically they will select mates based on smell quite a lot of the time, and also on dominance. So this female here, when it comes time for her to select a mate for her next calf, it won't be for some time because this little one is still with her, of course. In fact, it probably would be quite soon, because this little one is probably almost 9 months old or so. What she will do is find a dominant bull, and then she will decide which bull is dominant by watching him fight with another bull, or being in the territory of a bull that has chased all the other bulls out of. Does that make sense? And so that's mainly how mates are chosen out here. The females will normally mate with males who are dominant. And then there is a whole lot of smelling and that sort of thing that goes on to check if there is a suitable mate. Leanne, yes, we do get to see food chains in action a lot. Just about everywhere you look, there's a food chain in action. There's one happening right here. Let me show it to you. So this is a tree, obviously. It's a tree. It's called a torchwood tree, and it's called a torchwood because the leaves have got quite a lot of oil in them, and apparently you can burn them. But there's a food chain going on here. And what we have here is an area where elephants have been. Now the elephants have picked up grass, and they've picked up these fruits from the torchwood tree there. There they are. And these things have passed through the gut of the elephant, and the elephant has stood here, and it has made its dung. Here is the elephant's dung. All right, so that's one part of the food chain. Now, inside this elephant dung, we've got a whole lot of insects, and I'll see if I can find one for you now. There are a whole lot of termites and spiders and other interesting things normally. Naturally, I can't find one now, but basically what happens is the elephant eats the vegetation, it passes through the elephant, it ends up here. Then we have the dung beetles and we have the termites that come and eat the elephant dung. And then, of course, we'll have the birds coming in and eating the termites, or we'll have honey badgers coming in and eating the grubs of the dung beetles and that sort of thing. So there's one of the food chains in action. Just about everything out here can be eaten by something or other, and just about everything out here has, well, definitely everything out here has something that it is able to eat. I hope that answers your question for you. Let us continue. We're searching for a leopard at the moment, and if we're very lucky we'll be able to show it to you. Now, on another scale of food chain, the Great Migration in the Masai Mara is a food chain of sorts which Brent Leo Smith will tell you about. Lions and wildebeest and grass is that food chain.
Yes, well, we are a couple of thousand kilometers away from James in Sydney in South Africa, and I am too sitting with lions. I'm sitting with a pride of lions called the Olololo Pride, and they are very sleepy kitties at the moment. Oh, hang on. Let me just move around. It looks like there's a couple who are up behind us. They're a very big pride. There's about 16 lions in total. And I forgot to tell you, my name's Brent, and I've got my friend Manu on camera. And let's go see. Oh, it looks like we might have some playing youngsters behind us. And it looks like the others are waiting in ambush. So let's have a quick look. There we go. At least these are not sleepy ones. Gunther is wondering where's the best place for a lion to camouflage. In the grass. And you can see they're a very close colour to the grass. And these are all little ones. So these were born last year. Some of them are, they range between about 9 to 10 months old through to about a year and a half. Little scallywags. Up to mischief. Isn't that cool? Hello, Alexis. Alexis would like to know, how long have I been a guide? A very long time, Alexis. About 17 years. But I was lucky enough that I grew up in the safari industry. And I used to live in safari lodges when I was younger. So I've been surrounded by the African wildlife my whole life. And I chose to make a living out of it. So I immediately went into the safari business. What are you doing now, you little troubles? Now, as I say, at this time of the day, the lions should start waking up as it gets cooler and the sun starts setting. Unfortunately, I'm having a problem with my radio comms from our final control, and I'm not really hearing what's coming through. I think I couldn't hear who was asking the question. Manu said the rarest animal. I'm not quite sure. I couldn't hear what was being said, unfortunately, but I'll talk about a rare animal. Pranath would like to know, what is the rarest animal? Oof, that's a difficult question. What is the rarest animal to see? What is the rarest animal in numbers? Probably the rarest animal in numbers in the Masai Mara is probably black rhino, but then aardwolf is also quite rare. There's lots of different things. Pangolin, very, very rare, and of course very threatened. One of the most trafficked creatures in the world, pangolin. It looks like they're going to have a snooze there while they wait for the adults to wake up. And you can see the big storm behind coming straight towards us. Emma would like to know how long lions can stay awake. Well, Emma, normally lions will sleep for about 20 hours a day, but they are able to stay awake all day. They sort of doze. But they can stay up for many hours if they have to. Okay, well, we're going to sit here and see what these lions get up to next. In the meantime, let's send you back to Sydney.
Look at that. I've got 3 right on the screen now. These lions in total, there are 11 at the moment here. So, but all 11 lions are afraid to approach or to confront the elephants. So these elephants, they are feeding very close to them. I can see now they're even much more closer than before. Look at that. They are just here. So they are maybe at a distance of about 60, 70 meters away from the lions. Hudson, the lions can sleep long hours. A day they can sleep for approximately 18 hours. So these animals are much more active between dawn and dusk. That is when they do quite a lot of their activities. But during the day, they go down and sleep. Why they spend much time sleeping like that is because when they are full, when the stomachs are full, they need much more time for digestion, and most of the digestion takes place when they're sleeping. Look at that. You can see that they are looking at something. Another one coming to join again. Kai, the animals I am seeing the most here in Djuma, every game drive, common animals is the impalas. But of the dangerous big animals, look at that. Look at what it's doing. That animal is trying to investigate something. Mostly when they are looking for things such as the prey, they also sniff and pick up information. And sometimes, in order to check each other's level of aggression, they also do that. It's something which is called to gramise. They also call it flamen. So they pick that up and take it to the roof of the mouth. It goes up to the brain, and then he's going to even know that this one is much more powerful than I am. I don't have to take a chance. Fernando, the most interesting animal I have seen is the leopard here in Djuma. Those kind of animals, leopard can be very much amazing. Flexible body, and how they camouflaged is amazing. I have seen them on guided walks and also on game drives. That one is a special animal. You can see now the lions are enjoying some sleep, but some of them, they are much more active now. So you will see just before or shortly after the sun sets, they are going to be very much active, because that is when they will be moving from here to where they are going to do some activities tonight. Roxanne, I have seen a black rhino on many occasions. I have been guiding since 2007, Roxanne, and I come from one of the parks, national parks, which is consisted of the Big Five, and there they do have those kind of species, so I have been encountering the black rhinos a lot. Look at those lions there now. They are licking each other. This is part of a ceremonial greeting. Lions, every time when they wake up, they first have to greet each other and groom each other. This helps them in order to maintain the membership within the prides. It's like a certain procedure. So now let's go to Brent. Brent in Masai Mara has got the Olololos. I will be here still checking what is going to happen. Maybe they might decide to go somewhere.
Well, welcome back to the Mara. Those young little lions have started moving back towards where the adults are sleeping. and they seem to be trying to decide whether they're going to pounce upon them and wake them up and be all playful, or whether it's probably a bad idea to wake up Mom and the other members of the pride. Pranesh would like to know, how do the cubs defend themselves if Mom isn't there? Well, they run away. It's their only real form of defense. If they are cornered, then they will possibly fight back, but that'll be last resort. They will generally try run away. There we go. Sneaking in for the pounce. Dum 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 dum. No, wake everybody up. I'm bored. Everyone wants to play. Who wants to play with me? We said this is quite a big pride. Hello, Mom. Addison is wondering, what do these lions eat the most tomorrow? At the moment, they eat a lot of wildebeest, but they'll hunt buffalo, giraffe, zebra, topi. Lions are not fussy. Whatever they can catch, they will take. Look at that, having the best time. Lucas is wondering, when are animals most active, day or night? Now, Lucas, that depends on the animal, of course. So nocturnal animals like lions and hyenas and leopards will be most active at night. However, oh, she's just spotted an eland. You can see how her face completely changed, and she's quite hungry compared to the rest of the pride. There's a big eland bull there. Now, the problems with cubs hanging around is the cubs might mess up a hunt. Now, that is a massive animal. That eland can weigh, a big eland bull like that probably weighs around 900 kilograms. So she might actually go. It looks like she's walking with quite a lot of intent. I'm only seeing one of the adult lionesses up at the moment. Second one up, but she is very interested in that eland. You can see the eland hasn't spotted them yet. She's watching, I think, by herself, unless some of the other adult lionesses decide to start helping. That eland might be a little bit too big. Let's see where he goes. Now, I'm just trying to see if any of the other girls have spotted the eland. It doesn't look like it. We are going to have to close up our car shortly. So we've got rain covers that protect us. There's a very big storm about to hit us. Fernando, I didn't quite hear that. Can you go again, please, Faith? Fernando wants to know what I think is the most interesting animal. For me, Fernando, it's the African wild dog, because it is my favorite. Okay, I need to get our car ready for the rain. So while I do that, we're going to send you back to Sydney in South Africa.
You can see that these lions are still now performing their ceremonial greetings. I can see that they are still looking at each other. So the tongue of these kind of animals is like a sandpaper. So it does come, that tongue does pick up quite a lot of unwanted things there. So now we are going to cut to a flare Look at that. You can see that this is a reciprocal grooming. One is grooming, when it's done, waiting, the other one must also do the same things. Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, is what is happening here. So when they're doing this kind of grooming, licking, they also pick up some of the hairs and they swallow them. Anything that goes into that tongue, then it gets swallowed, because the tongue has got kind of some spines which helps to grab. Once they grab the hairs, they are going to eat them. But those kind of hairs in the stomach, they don't easily get digested. So they form small balls, and they must have to coffee them out every time. You can see that that one was just yawning, but now again going back to sleep. Matthew, the lions, they don't have a specific season. They can breed at any time of the year. So the period of pregnancy is about 110 days, approximately 3 months. And at that stage, the females are very much protective, and that is when their level of aggression is. That is a very beautiful setting with the reflection of the sun there. So now let's go back to James. He's got some starling.
We have got some Burchell's starlings over here. Look at that. Beautiful birds, iridescent colours of purple, green, blue and black. And this one seems to be running rather than flying. They are very good flyers. It is also naturally hiding behind this termite mound. There's another one there. David, do you see it? Well done. Now, the reason we're parked here looking at starlings while everyone else seems to be looking at large, dangerous animals is that we're waiting for Hosanna, the male leopard, to hopefully emerge from where he has been very close to our camp today. And I'm hoping that we'll get a view of him as he comes out sometime later. Starling is still there. That's where the camp is, everyone. That's where the leopard has been. Riley, it's difficult to count how many spots leopards have. I'm relatively sure that nobody in the world has ever counted the number of spots that a leopard has. It would be a little bit like looking at my bald head and trying to count how many hairs I had left. Well, that would be a very difficult thing to do. And I'm pretty sure that no one's ever counted the number of spots that a leopard has. So, Riley, I think you'll find that they have a variable number of spots. I'm just actually thinking now, I seem to remember, Riley, reading something somewhere many years back where somebody had actually tried to count the leopard spots, but I don't remember how many there were. But remember, every leopard will have different numbers of spots, in the same way that you and I have different numbers of hairs, especially on our heads. I hope you're not bald like me, Riley. I'm sure you're not. There's a little impala, and that little impala is standing on top of a termite mound looking towards where Hosanna, the male leopard, might come from. Gabriel, that antelope there will eat grass and leaves. He's a particularly clever antelope. And he eats grass and he can eat tree leaves. Most antelope can only eat one or the other. This chap is known as a mixed feeder, which means that he, at times like this, when there's almost no grass for him to eat, he can still go and eat tree leaves, which are still green. You can see there's some green tree leaves behind him there. And that's why one of the reasons the impala is the most common antelope that we have over here. Now he's looking straight towards where we think that male leopard might come from. And if he does see the male leopard, what he'll do is he'll go like this. He'll go... And what that is an alarm call. All right, let's drive along here. Well, Mrs. Leggett, the best thing that we can do for animals who are endangered out here is make sure that the boundaries of our reserve are kept solid, if you like. So we need to make sure that nobody is allowed to come in unless they come through the official gates. So we have extensive security to stop people coming in. It's also very important in an area like South Africa, where there are a lot of poor people living outside the boundaries of the park. It's very important that those people derive a benefit from the park, either through jobs or through coming in to collect medicinal plants or coming in to collect wood to build their homes and that sort of thing. And in that way, they will hopefully feel a sense of ownership for the reserve and protect it from outside and as well as from inside. Then there's a lot of research that gets done in this area, especially on endangered animals like wild dogs and cheetahs and, well, not quite endangered, but almost endangered, elephants and that sort of thing. So there is a lot being done to make sure that the Kruger National Park, which of course is the area that we're in now, and it is one of the most famous wildlife areas in the world, there's a lot being done to make sure that we maintain it as beautiful and as pristine as it is. Now we're getting quite close to where I was hoping this young male leopard would come, and you can probably see a little bit of infrastructure there. That is the camp where we live, and we live so deep into the wilderness that the animals are able to come in and out of our camp. Isn't that exciting? So we live a very exciting life out here. I don't see him anywhere just now, so I think what we'll do is turn around and go past another area where there is a water hole. Noella, the most gentle animal that I've ever seen out here, I think, is an elephant. I think an elephant, although it's so very big, is capable of being more gentle than any other animal out here. So I think that I'm going to say an elephant is the most gentle animal. We're just going to do a little bit of a turnaround here, go towards a water hole, which is not far from here. The leopard was either going to come past this way, or he was going to go towards the water hole. So we might get very lucky. Alrighty, on we go. It's getting dark now, exactly the time of the day that you'd expect the lions and the leopards to start moving. Unfortunately, Sydney's lions appear to be falling fast asleep.
The Unkuhuma pride of the Djuma Game Reserve is still very much having fun here. Some of them are still sleeping, some are grooming each other, but I can see that they are left with a few minutes to wake up and show us some of the activities, as this is now the time best for the animal activities, the lions. Look at how that one is sleeping, holding a branch. You can see that front leg is not even falling down, but this animal maybe is pretending to sleep. Look at that muzzle. This is a powerful animal. Sakina, that is quite a lovely question. Let me tell you a story. I come from a place called Venda, which is just the western side of the Kruger National Park. And from my home to the Kruger National Park is just about 55 minutes. So it's not far. Even walking, it's a long distance, but I know in between the villages I can reach the Kruger National Park. And while I was doing my primary school, at school, they used to invite people to come and cater for us in order to show us some different films, and they used to play us kickboxer as well as animal behavior, where one of the staff will be explaining what is happening when the lions are hiding, hunting, and when lions are sleeping. After that, we used to do school trips to the greater Kruger National Park, and when we get to Kruger, some of the environmental interpretative officers, they take over and start explaining to us how it's about to be a guide and how it's about through kind of a career guidance. And then they show us animals and explain to us the kind of behaviors. And those are the things that fascinated me in order to become a guide. Apart from that, at school as well, the teachers who identified enthusiasm on me always kept being my constant encouragement in order to do these kind of courses. So that's why today I am a guide. Nishan, the lions, they do fight and they hurt each other when fighting for the meat. Their fight can be very much strong, and when fighting you might even think they are going to kill each other. But sometimes when fighting for territories, they do kill each other. But for the meat, they just injure each other and they scratch each other on the faces. That's why most of the lions, if you check, old lions, on their faces, you will see a lot of scratches as a result of those fighting activities. Kyle, if you look at the lions, you must have to check the nose. When the nose is very, very dark, then you must know that that animal is older than 8 years. From 8 years, the nose starts to get very dark, and lions can survive up to 15 to 17 years. Some, they die at the age of 13, 14, but that is determined by the teeth availability, as when they start wanting the teeth, then it becomes difficult for them to catch something or to eat the meat. So you can see that there are some of the photographers who are shining a light on them. You can see their color is different there. Gunther, a lot of animals do eat pythons. I once saw a hyena eating a python. Apart from the hyenas, you do have the honey badgers. Those ones, they even kill snakes, different snakes, all kinds of snakes. When it comes to the honey badgers, they kill them. So the animals do eat pythons. Pythons, they are very much fat and they've got quite a lot of meat. So the hyenas, I saw them eating a python which was about approximately 7 meters. Gigi, acting dead is kind of a behavior done by a lot of animals. Even some of the snakes is something which is called thanatosis. Thanatosis, it means acting dead. These kind of animals, the lions, they don't pretend asleep. The thing is, lions, they are very much conscious. When they are sleeping, ears and everything is still hearing. They can be able to pick up the movement and the sound very, very, very well. So they don't like act dead. They do sleep. If something comes there, they are going to all jump. At the same time, they are going to jump as if they were just relaxing. From deep sleep, they will jump and take action. You can see that one at the back of the ears is very black there. So those kind of colors is the ones that they use when having the babies for follow me signs, and they also use them when they are doing their hunting activities. So these ears can pick up something at a distance of about a kilometer. If you break a stick at a kilometer, they might be able to hear you if it's a big stick. So you can see that they are not much active at the moment. They are just still preparing themselves. So James has got a lovely leopard as I am talking to you now. So let's go to James and see the spotted cat.
Yes, we've got a very special leopard here for you. It's not the one we were looking for. This is his father, Tingana, the male leopard. Now what he's doing is probably rolling in the scent of a buffalo that was around here. He might also be smelling the presence of his son around here. Now you can imagine how difficult it would be to count all of his spots. He's actually eating soil. He seems to be eating a bit of soil. That's very interesting. I've often heard of herbivores eating soil, but for a leopard to do it, that's very strange. Addison, yes, I love my job and seeing animals every day. Can you imagine? I have a brother who's works in a bank and a sister who is a lawyer, and I don't think they like their jobs anything like as much as I like my job. I get to watch the sun go down every day, and I get to sit here as the sun goes down here in the beautiful Kruger Park with Tingana the male leopard. This is really interesting, everybody. I don't know why he'd be licking the ground. Chelsea, it's very difficult to say how many animals live in this park, but we can say how many specific different kinds of animals live in this park. We think in the whole of the Kruger National Park there are probably about 15,000 elephants, probably about 100,000 buffalo or so, maybe 3,000 lions, probably about 3,000 leopards, and maybe about 300,000 or so impala. Otherwise, it's quite difficult to tell. Isn't that beautiful? Now, this fellow's 12 years old. He's almost 13, which is old for a male leopard. And you see how he doesn't drink very calmly. He's quite nervous. Now, he's nervous because this morning he was chased up a tree by those lions that you've been looking at with Sydney. See, he's looking around. He doesn't want to meet a lion now. I'm sure he won't meet a lion. Sakina, lions and leopards are to a certain extent colorblind, yes. They don't see in black and white though. They see in shades of blue and green. They are unable to see the color red. And the reason for that is that it allows them, the way their eyes are designed, allows them to see much better in the night when there is no light from the sun. It allows them to see much better. So although they can't see color very well, they can see at night much better than we can. This is just magical sighting, everybody. It's very special to be sitting here with a leopard, especially as there's nobody else with us. There will be a few more people arriving sometime soon to have a look at him. Very special. And they can drink a lot. They don't have to drink, though. Leopards don't have to drink. I'm sure also, although that he's quite thirsty, I think that he keeps looking up because he can probably smell another leopard around. And that, of course, is his son, Hosanna. He's in very good condition, this male leopard. He's eaten well over the last little while. He's He's a little bit stiff, he looks, doesn't he? He's one of our very favourite characters. And he too now is walking quite close to our camp. That's interesting. Let's see what he does. He might just go up onto this termite mound. Saifarm leopards track their prey normally with their eyes. So they see very well. They can also use their noses so they can smell. And they can also, he might call now. Let's just be careful. Be exciting to hear him call. No, he hasn't. I say that because he was obviously marking his territory there. So while they might use their eyes and their ears to find prey, they also use their noses. They can smell very, very well. Yeah, we're going to go into infrared, everybody, so it's going to become black and white. There we go. Here's a last view for you, everyone at school. I hope that you have an enjoyable rest of your day at school. We've had a very lovely time being with you, and I hope that we'll find you on safari again soon. All right, let's go back across to Sydney, everybody, and the sleeping Nkuhumas. I see that, I think Hosanna is approaching now. Yes, here he comes from the other side. It's exciting.
The Nkuhumas are still very much relaxed here at the moment. No other activity has been displayed so far except sleeping and grooming each other. These cats love themselves. You can see the last one to wake up also is trying to groom herself. This lion we are watching now is the one which is giving me the updates all the time. But now I can see it's up to something again. I'm not too sure what he's looking at because he has been sniffing and sniffing there, picking up the air particles. But now I can see that the head is raised, the ears are put forward. He's trying to investigate something. Look at that. While I'm still now trying to see what is going to happen, let's go to Masai Mara. Brandt has got some other lions of Mara. I will be here and see. Maybe this one's going to show me something.
Well, as you can see, we've got our storm hatches down. The storm is coming in from behind us. It hasn't hit us yet. But as you can see, pitch black in front of me till Manu does some magic. Boom! Here we go. The whole Olololo pride strolling down the road. So obviously we've got our lights off. They're definitely on the hunt. Some of them look quite peckish. So, Manu has lost my audio. Wait, let me have a look. It's all working my side. Maybe Faith, do you have my audio? Yeah, all working this side. Okay, I'm just going to assume the audio is working. Okay, okay, it is okay. Apparently my audio has been retrieved. But you can see, it's always impressive seeing, oh, another lion coming out of the grass. Now, Manu's doing a fantastic job because he does not have much room to work. With the storm flats down, you can start hearing some of the raindrops. He basically can only shoot straight forward. So we just got to hope that the lions do everything right in front of us. Is that a car coming up behind us? Oh, look at them. Let's get a bit closer. Safari Sally is wondering, will the females move away from the pride when it's time to mate? Sometimes they will mate right next to the pride. So it all just depends. So there is another vehicle about to go past us. I think he's going to get a shock and a horror, since there is a large pride of lions blocking the way. Polesana. Oh, look at them playing, having the best time now that it's a bit cool. Now, that light you see there is from the vehicle. It looks like they're going to go have a drink in the mitre drain. Poofy Poof is wondering, will any other animals take advantage of the storm? Yes, indeed, Poofy Poof. Many different animals will take advantage of the storm. Lions and hyenas will both take advantage of the storm. Leopard and certain bird species, even owls. But the big predators love a good storm. It dampens the hearing of the smaller prey species, as well as when hyenas, particular case, it makes it very difficult for their prey to run, so they slip and fall over. So hyenas love chasing things in a storm. Okay, let's get a bit closer. And that man is very lucky. The lions decided to move off the road for him. Oh, now one is chasing, like you can see it in the shadow, it's chasing his tires. Catherine, you most certainly do not go on any evening walks in any big 5 areas of Africa. Otherwise, you will become dindins. There we go, as I said. Thought they might stop for a drink in the drain. Wonderful. They're being very, very kind to Manu and I at the moment, because they're staying where we can get them. Ayla Moore says it is amazing how close the lions are. Indeed it is. A good close pride is a strong pride. And now if they go that way, I'm afraid that's going to be it for us. It is, we're right in an area called Laga and Ndlovu, which basically means the elephant stream, but it is a swamp at the moment. Very close to where we saw all those birds earlier. So we can't actually follow them in. I'm just going to try and get Manu a little bit closer before they disappear. How's that, Manu? You think you got him there? Does that work? Yes, that works. Now you'll start to hear the rain hitting our storm covers and the wind buffeting our canvas. Unfortunately, they are heading off into that swampy area, and the rain is hitting us at the same time. So I'm afraid, I think this, sorry, I was just checking where the others went. That is going to be the last of the Olololos for us this evening. Oh dear. Out of 16, only 2 left visible. Okay, well, good night, Olololos. Happy hunting. I hope you catch something. And we're going to start battening down the rest of the hatches, because we're going to have to drive straight into the storm. But let's send you back to James and Tingana.
Righty, here we are, everybody. We're waiting for Tingana to pop out of the bush. I believe a few of you were concerned we were going to miss a father-son reunion. We didn't miss any father-son reunion. Hosanna took one look at what was going on at the pan, turned around and disappeared back, and he's going back towards the dam camp. So have a look out there. He'll probably pitch up there. We came around here because Tingana's normal path from there is to pop along here, along this sort of shallow depression, and then out onto the road in front of us. And he doesn't seem to have appeared yet. He might be about to visit, I suppose he might be about to visit Tristan in the tent. Anyway, we'll do a little drive up and down this road once or twice. I'm surprised he didn't call, because he certainly marked his territory. Brown pound? Say it again, please, Faith. Sorry. Brown town gamer. No, I've never seen a leopard using or cooperating with another leopard, but there is a little bit of evidence to suggest that maybe it sometimes happens, and that evidence actually comes from Tingana and his ex-consort, now deceased, called Karula. And when they were mating to produce young Horsana, who we saw just at the end of that little segment there, they were found the day after they had been sort of mating for 2 days with nothing to eat, and they were found a little bit after that with a young buffalo. Now, it was difficult to see how she could have killed the young buffalo on her own. Possibly he killed it on his own, but it looked a little bit like perhaps the two of them had cooperated to kill it. That is certainly not something you'd ever read about in a textbook, but it looked like maybe that's what had happened. No, he's not popped out here, so I'm not sure where he is. He's probably having a cocktail with Kirsten and Jerry on their veranda. We'll keep an eye around here for our friend Tingana. He may also pop around to the other pan from this direction. Lisa Marie, the clouded leopard, Sunda clouded leopard of Borneo, are you talking about? I don't know actually. No, I don't think it is. It's called a leopard, but it's not closely related to these leopards. I suspect the rarest leopard would be the snow leopard that you find, of course, in the mountains of the Himalaya and foothills, etc., of the Himalaya. And I think you'll find that they are probably the most rare form of leopard that's closely related to our leopards. Clouded leopard has got kind of that dappled spotting and rosettes, but it's not closely related to our leopards. I don't know where he's gone. We couldn't follow him through that thick bush because he was precisely where Horsana was. He's headed towards where Horsana was. The little Horsana's been messing around in that area the whole afternoon, having himself a little bit of fun. Apparently he chased a scrub hare in front of the houses, and then he obviously disappeared, and he's apparently heading around towards the pan here. I'm going to have one more look to see if he has come out of the camp, then I'm going to go down to the pan and wait and see what happens there. In the meantime, Sydney is still with the laziest cats in the world.
You can see now that one of the Nkuhumas is now walking, trying to greet each and everybody. Maybe now is the best time for them to start showing some activities. Oh, there he's playing again, grooming again. He has been groomed already. He's just now coming back for the second time. Mostly the Nkuhuma pride wakes up just shortly after the sunset, but today I can see that they're taking much longer. I hope they will be up already by now. You can see now they're starting to play. At least now they're showing some activities. It's better than earlier. Oh, Jason, the animals, they do get struck by the lightning. Lions specifically, I am not too sure, but I was once on a sighting where, while I was at a distance of 250 meters, a rhino was struck by a lightning and died immediately. This was happening by a very big open place, as those kind of animals prefer the big openings. look at that now. And they are starting to show something. This is interesting. Look, he's trying to stretch now. He's prepared to move around. The first thing that lion is going to do now might be excreting the droppings. He might now stand somewhere there and defecate. So I hope these other ones are going to follow her as well. So I've just told you now that this kind of animals mostly... So this question, this kind of animals mostly they wake up just shortly after sunset. Today they are delayed a little bit, but now at least they are showing, because I can see another one at the back there is also now coming up. Safari Sally, in order to be a field guide, first thing you're gonna have to be a people's person, and before all the kind of knowledge about the plants and the animals, because this kind of guiding, you are going to be interacting with people, but if you don't like to be with people, then it becomes very difficult. I've just heard something roaring here. It seems like there is another pride in this area which is roaring, unless maybe it was the roar from the one that just left now. I can still pick up the roar here. You can see they are also excited. They are trying to investigate it. You can... This is lovely. This is lovely. This is one of the calls associated with Africa, a lion roar. So while I'm waiting to see if these other ones are going to join the roaring, let's go to Tristan, who got a leopard drinking at the dam.
We do indeed. We have what looks like Hosanna that is drinking at the pan. It's difficult to see because he's a bit of a white-hot figure. Unfortunately, the cameras are in infrared now because it's dark, obviously. And there are some guys that are busy watching Hosanna with spotlights. And so it's kind of difficult to see, make out exactly who he is. So he's just a white-hot figure at the moment that's busy trying to have a drink. And shame, he just got the biggest fright ever because he was drinking and the lion started to roar. And he got a major fright and ended up jumping up off the kind of from drinking and then looked around. And it's quite interesting. We can hear the lions roaring from where we are. It's going to be a perilous journey back from the tent. There's leopards, there's lions, there's elephants around. I have to keep my eyes out as we go. But once again, very, very cool to have so many animals come down to the nest over the course of today. Has been absolutely phenomenal. Now, he is walking to the right, so I'm going to quickly change cameras so that we can maybe see him coming past, because it's going to be quite quick by the looks of things. So he should come past into frame fairly shortly. I'm just going to have to wait and see. I'm hoping he doesn't go behind the damn wall. It could very well be. I'm just trying to see the lights. The lights will be a good indication as to where he actually is in relation to us. They're shining just on the left of the frame, so he should be coming through fairly quickly. He was walking quite fast, so I thought maybe he might come around and actually kind of come along this little bank towards there, but he also could be moving south. He might have heard these lions and decided, I'm out of here. I'm not going to stay anywhere near this area. I believe he's laid down just in an area that we can't see him, I don't think. So that was quick, brief view of Hosanna, but a very, very cool one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit here and monitor it, see hopefully if he comes back again. But in the meantime, let's send you back across to Brent, who, well, has battened down the hatches. It seems as there seems to be a bit of a rainstorm in the Mara, and I can assure you it's not that much fun.
We sprung a leak, but we fixed it with some good old tape, and we are heading into some big rain at the moment. We're just on the edge, but you can probably see the windscreen is just dotted with little droplets, and of course you've got to be very careful driving in this weather, so I might not be looking back too much. The roads get very, very slippery. We're probably about 10 kilometers or so from home, maybe a bit more. Now you can see these roof designs, like Land Rovers, were designed for people like James Henry. So when I need to actually look outside, I'm going to drive like this, and that's because I can't see where the rain cover comes. It blocks the top sort of half of my vision, so I've got squatted down to see what I'm doing. That leak is still getting me. But it has been a fun day out in the Mara, and the rains seem to be well and truly back. And most mornings and most evenings we will be either going home in the rain or waking up in the rain. Now let us go across to the man who this car is designed for, because Land Rovers are made for short, pompous people who speak in a posh accent.
You'll notice that Brent Leo Smith has got 3 jokes about me, and they go as follows. He's old, that's number 1. He's short, that's number 2. He's bald, that's number 3. Those are 3 things that Brent Leo Smith finds hysterically funny about me. Endlessly so. We went back to the pan. We did have a look at Hosanna. We decided to leave him because he's being followed, and so I think what we'll do is we'll just go off and see if we can find Tingana, who's not being followed. It'd be quite nice. We waited for him where I last saw you and failed to find him, and so we'll just go back there and see what we can find. All around, the night air is, woo, bushveld gerbil. All around us, the night air is being filled with the gentle scent of knobthorn trees as they begin their yearly flowering, which is very nice indeed. I always feel like I'm not really supposed to enjoy it until the 1st of September, which of course is in 2 days. So in 2 days, I can enjoy the smell of knobthorn trees and their blossoms. I know we've been up and down this road 7 or 8 times this evening, but the reason is that we are trying to find Tingana. Poofy poof! A leopard needs to make a big kill. It really doesn't need to ever make a big kill. I mean, a leopard could survive on squirrels and terrapins if it had to, so it doesn't ever have to make a big kill. They'll kill whatever they can kill and eat whatever they can eat. Let's just check the road carefully here and see that he hasn't crossed it. Has he crossed the road? No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. So let's go back around to where we last saw him and see if he doesn't pop out. I wonder if he didn't go to sleep for a little while after his drink. Now perhaps he'll get up and start moving. Oh, there he is. No, that's not him, that's a duiker. That's something entirely different. Let's have a duiker shot there, Dave. Too far. Wait. Ha ha ha! Look at this, everyone. We have a very special torch. Infrared torch. The lions are shouting their heads off right now. See? You can't see it. Oh, you can because you've got an infrared camera on. But hey, yes, go into colour quickly. You see? It's on. The torch is on. I promise it's on. And now let's go into... you see? Look at that. It's amazing. Magic. Absolute magic. Let's continue. Wizardry, I tell you, wizardry. It's very useful, that. Long distance views of Spyker die Dijker. Rima, yes, it is true that elephants walk on their toes to the extent that they have toes. They don't really have toes like you and I, but the bones that make up toes terminate pointedly in the ends of their feet. So yes, it is true that they walk on their toes. So if you imagine your foot sort of bent forward at an unnatural angle, like a ballerina's, if you like, and then the bones arranged in a more squat fashion, so they're all shortened all the way through the foot, but facing down, well, then you would find that you had an elephant's foot. So yes, they do stand on their toes. They don't look like they're standing on their toes. One last look for Tinganana around here, and then I think we'll go home for a drink. That's what I think we'll do. Maybe a salty crack and some cheese, David. Hungry work out here. Hungry work it is. Bunny. Right, as the bunny disappears, we're going to say goodbye. I think probably, unless we find the leopard, and let's go back across to Sydney, who has got the Nunca Pumas, who have finally decided to get up.
I am now trying to follow the Unkuhuma. They are right in front of me. They are starting to show some activities now. I can see them right in front of me. I am going to meet them now in a second. Look at them. This is beautiful. Can you see them, Ferg? They are now right on the road. Look at that. So the Unkuhumas are starting now to show some activities. They are moving now towards the southern side of the game reserve. You can see now some of them already in front. So let me just give them a chance to pass here. One of them apparently walked towards the northern side, and she's keep roaring towards that side. I don't know if maybe that is an agreement intentionally in order to catch the animals to come towards this side. They are going towards a completely different direction, and the one roaring is towards the opposite direction. So it seems like they are all on the road now. So they are now hitting the road. This is beautiful. This is going to be a wild night indeed. Looking at these animals walking on this road now, you can see that they are on a mission. Not even worried about me driving behind them. You can see that they are comfortable. So, but the arrangement at the moment is showing me that they are still very much comfortable, not yet started with hunting activities. Soon as they pick something, you will see they are going to stop and start to arrange themselves. They look very hungry. Maybe they are heading towards Galago Plain area for some water. So look at those long tails hanging very close to the ground. So they use these tails for communication. And right at the end of the tail, you can see they are very much hairy there. Thank you very much for all the positive comments given about this kind of a phenomenal sighting. This is what they do when they are trying to pick up things. So you can see that here they are walking. Some of them are still also concentrating just to try and get the updates. This is beautiful. This is an amazing sunset game drive. It has been a lovely day today. We have seen quite a lot of cats as the Hosanna was spotted, Tingana was spotted as well. Now look at this. They are listening to that one roaring. I can hear her at the moment. And thank you very much for all your comments and questions. Let's meet again tomorrow at 5:30.